Hey, everybody. Um, we are joined by some pretty cool people today. Excited to see Alec from Mochi joining us here for a really, really informative presentation on how to set goals for your hackathon and how to get the most out of your hackathon experience. We will be taking questions at the end, so please definitely just hang on to those and put them in the chat while you're thinking about them. We do need your interaction. We do need your participation, but definitely hold on to those so that everything can run smoothly. Without further ado, though, Alec from Mochi Game Protocol, we would love to hear more about what it means to set goals for a hackathon. Take it away.
All right, thank you guys for the intro. I'm super excited to be here. I'm a longtime fan of Zora, and I spend a lot of my time thinking and engaging with on-chain creative technology, the stuff that we're all here to build and talk about. So very excited to be here. Thank you to Zora for having us. This is going to be a little bit of a different session, I imagine, than a lot of what has happened so far. This is kind of an opportunity to take a step back and think critically about the goals that we're actually setting for the coming days and the coming weeks for those of you who choose to take your projects beyond the scope of the hackathon itself. So I'm really appreciative that you guys have taken the time to be here. I'm sure you're eager to start building. Some of you have probably already started building your projects, but I personally and we at Mochi think that it's really important to set aside some time to engage critically with goal setting in order to be the most effective at achieving whatever it is that you're here to achieve. So thank you for being here. Again, my name is Alec. I'm a core contributor at Mochi. I focus mainly on partnerships and DAO success. And I'll tell you a little bit about Mochi, a little bit more about Mochi later, but the TLDR is that we are an agile coordination game to help remote teams, decentralized communities, creative collectives, and everything in between to stick together. Our motto is to dream big, start small, and stick together. So a little bit about me personally before we get into the goal setting. I have been in and out of the Web3 blockchain space since 2017. My introduction to the space was this book that you see here on the left called Everything in Its Right Place. I helped put together this manuscript and publish this book on how blockchain technology would create a more transparent music industry. So while many people, I think, come into Web3 crypto through the lens of money and finance, I came into it through the lens of rights management, royalty streaming, things like that, artist and fan relationships. And I've kind of kept that focus ever since. A lot of what I've done over the past couple of years has been focused on the DAO and NFT space. I minted my first music NFT on Zora back in March 2021, about the same time I minted this adorable little moon cat here. I was also a founding member of Beats DAO, which is a collective that was born out of the Euler Beats project, one of the earliest examples of generative music on the blockchain. We've worked with Snoop Dogg's team to do a couple of their drops. We've worked with Quantum. We did one of their Genesis drops, and Neon Cat and some others. And around the same time as all of that, about May of last year, I started working on Mochi. So the work that we do now is focused on supporting DAOs, supporting decentralized communities of all different shapes, sizes, and flavors to stick together, build culture through the act of setting and tracking goals. And then lastly, I've done my fair share of transacting. I don't know at this point whether to wear this as like a badge of honor or shame that I've done so many transactions with so much Gwei, but I've been here for just a little while. So what is Mochi? I hope that many of you in here are already aware of what Mochi is, Mochi being the snack in this case because it's delicious. But for those of you who are not aware, Mochi is a Japanese rice cake made of short grain rice and usually other ingredients like cornstarch, water, and sugar. It's pounded into a paste and molded into different shapes here. As you can see, these guys are pounding some mochi. I think that they're actually the fastest. They have like the record for fastest mochi production. So just like this process helps thousands of little grains of rice stick together, to create something sweet and tangible and cohesive, we try to do the same for decentralized communities. So again, that's what inspires us. We work to keep communities stuck together through a combination of token incentives, agile principles, and of course, Tamagotchi style, kawaii, cute mochi companions who essentially serve as a living indicator of your accountability to your goals. So now I want to get into a little bit of goal theory, some of the goal theory that actually inspired Mochi and that continues to inspire the work that we're doing now. I'm going to talk through some of that theory, and then we're going to do a couple quick exercises to help you guys set some clear actionable goals for this week, and hopefully establish some goal setting practices that you can take into future projects, future hackathons, and hopefully even into your personal lives and personal goals. So a couple just terms just to make sure that we're aligned on definitions here. We're defining goal setting as the act of charting measurable steps to propel you toward a desired outcome over a predetermined period of time. So a couple things here, you'll see that measurable is emphasized. I'm going to get into that a bit more later, but this is kind of a key point, right? If you're setting the goal of, I want to read more, I want to become an avid reader, that's going to be a lot less effective than something like, I'm going to read every morning before work 10 pages or more, right? Just the act of having a goal be measurable and being clear about your desired outcome and being clear about the scope or the period of time during which you're going to actually work towards your goal makes goals more effective. So a couple more kind of Mochi specific terms, a journey, right? Ideally, effective goals are not ones that you are going to be working toward forever, right? Most goals should be reassessed at a certain point, either because you've made considerable progress toward them, maybe you've even completed them, but we believe that goals should be continually reassessed. And so a journey is a period of time during which one tracks a goal, ideally with a small team of people who kind of serve as accountability buddies. This is another core thing, right? Where you're more likely to actually be accountable to a goal if you have folks other than yourself holding you accountable, right? Reminding you. There's an added incentive there. So 8 weeks is kind of a standard amount of time for this. From our perspective, right? We have built our system around agile principles for all the developers and technically minded, product-minded folks in the room. You're probably aware of Agile and Scrum, but basically it's this idea of breaking up work into chunks of different amounts of time and scope. So 8 weeks or 2 months is traditionally an agile epic where you would maybe work on a specific feature. Those 8-week epics are broken into 2-week sprints where you set smaller goals, and then those sprints are split up into daily stand-up meetings. So this daily stand-up, right, it's a bit difficult to do this kind of thing if you are a distributed remote team. So we understand that it's not always easy for people to meet at the same time every day, but that being said, it's still important to be tracking your progress on your goals. So that's where these pearls of wisdom, as we call them, come in, or proof of work, right? Which is essentially a daily check-in or progress update on your goal. That could be a journal entry, it could be a Mochi report, or a voice note, whatever it may be. So this is what a pearl of wisdom looks like in Mochi, where you actually are completing a quick progress update on your goal in Discord or in Slack, earning tokens for doing so, and hopefully developing a streak. We got a Zorb there, if you know, you know. And just to give a quick example of how this has been used in a creative context, Campfire is one organization, an artist union of sorts of about 100 folks, people who are releasing music on the blockchain, who are working with organizations that are working to elevate on-chain creative tooling. So this group was essentially spawned from this tweet a couple months ago. And when the group was formed, they decided to use Mochi at the very inception to keep folks working toward common goals. So we had about 20 people working on goals like songwriting, recording, vocal exercises, things like that. And we found that people who set small measurable goals like performing a 30-minute vocal warm-up every day were really successful in achieving that while actually making some new friends in the process. So that's just a quick overview of the Mochi terminology and how our system works. I'd like to get into a little bit more specifics around goal theory and some best practices for setting goals now. So the framework that we are going to use today to talk about our goals and reflect on our goals for the coming days and weeks is called SMART goal setting. So this is an acronym, as you may have noticed, and it is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So it's good when setting goals to kind of go through a mental checklist of, is this a goal that is specific? Is it a goal that's measurable? Is it actually attainable, or is it super lofty? Is it relevant to the context in which you're setting the goal? And is it time-bound? So specific, I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. The more descriptive that you are with your goal, the easier it will be to track your progress and to actually report and reflect on the goal. Measurable, this is, I kind of alluded to before with the example of reading. If you are working toward a goal of becoming an avid reader, okay, that's great, but how are you actually assessing and measuring your progress toward that goal, right? So something like, in order to become an active reader, I will read 10 pages or more every day before work. Something like that is going to be a lot easier to actually check in on and to accomplish. And that goes into the next point. The goal should be attainable, right? All of us here, I assume, are, if you find yourself in this room at this hackathon, I assume that you're an ambitious person, right? We all want to affect change in this space. But a curse of being ambitious is that you might be more prone to setting over-ambitious goals, right? And the problem with setting over-ambitious goals is that you're setting yourself up potentially for disappointment. You're setting yourself up to become demotivated. You're potentially setting yourself up to sour relationships with the people you're working with. So this is a really important one, right? Goals should be attainable. They should not be too lofty. You should set yourself up to actually outperform your goals, if anything, right? I personally hear this a lot in the space, right? That the best teams are those who under promise and over deliver, right? So I think that that's a helpful way to think about this. Maybe under promise and over deliver with yourself, so that if you set the goal of reading 10 pages and you read 20, you're going to feel great about it, right? But if you set the goal of, I'm going to read 100 pages a day, and then you only read 60, sure, reading 60 pages is great, but you might be disappointed. So I think that one's really important. And then the last two, relevant, we're all here, as I mentioned before, to affect some change, to build the next generation of on-chain creative tooling, right? So maybe it goes without saying that any goals that we're setting in the context of this hackathon should be relevant to that aim. And then finally, time-bound goals, right? We don't want to set goals that we're going to be working on forever. Ideally, we're setting goals that have an end date that we can reassess. Because if you're looking to go 0 to 100, right, the goal that's going to take you from 0 to 20 might be distinct from the goal that would take you from 20 to 50, and 50 to 70, and 70 to 100. So the idea is that we're continually reflecting on and reassessing our goals so that they can be as targeted as possible to the stage that we're at in the development of our project or our personal habit or whatever it is that we're trying to work towards. So this is a really good framework. It's kind of a classic one, and it's going to be kind of like a measuring stick that we're going to use for the goals that we set today. So using this as a framework, I want to provide a couple of examples, and we're actually going to work on these live together. So here's an example of a not so clear goal, right? I want to write more. Okay, great. But how are you going to measure that progress? How are you actually going to achieve that? So I'd like to take a couple minutes now for you guys to actually rework this goal, right? Using the SMART framework, come up with a more descriptive way to write this same goal that would be more effective in actually achieving it. So I'll leave a couple minutes here and invite anybody to share your goal. I've already done this, and so the next slide has my personal reworked goal, but I'm curious to see what you guys come up with here. So just going to put a timer on for 2 minutes and see what we come up with. I was going to play some music, but I had to full screen my presentation, so I can't. But let me see if I can pull it up here. All right, timer's running. Lo-fi beats to study to. Here we go. Lo-fi beats to goal set to. I'm sorry. One more minute. All right. Start finishing up your goals. We're going to do this one more time, so no worries if you're not quite done yet. But would love to invite anybody who is willing to unmute, share how you would rework this goal with this SMART framework. I think we can do like raised hands, right? Just 1 to 2 sentences. I can't see if anybody is raising hands or in the chat, but Luke, are you able to assist on this?
Yeah, Derek. Derek's raising his hand right now. If you want to come off and mute real quick.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, cool. So I would write it more specific, like according to your guidelines, and say something like, I will have a 1-hour writing session every day at 10 a.m.
Solid. Yeah, that's great. Have a 1-hour writing session every day at 10 a.m. So one thing that you might be able to improve to make that a little bit more descriptive is like, what is the intended outcome? Like maybe in order to X, Y, and Z, I will perform a 1 hour writing session at this time. But I think that's really good.
Okay, that makes sense. So it would be more measurable that way, right? Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, no, but that's solid. Thanks for sharing. Want to do one more of these? Oh, this was my example, right? In order to better process my thoughts and publish my first Mirror article, I will spend 10 minutes on creative writing every morning before starting work. So that's just one example. Obviously, there's hundreds of ways you could rewrite this goal, but this is something that maybe I would work on over an 8-week journey. So we're going to do this one more time. I want to get in shape. How could we reconfigure this goal? So again, we'll do a quick 2 minutes. I actually just kept the lo-fi on this whole time. I'll just turn it up, but gonna put another quick timer on. All right, one more minute. All right, we're coming up on 2 minutes. You guys want to wrap up your goals, and if one brave soul wants to raise your hand and share what you came up with, the floor is yours. There really are no wrong answers. Going once, going twice. We can vibe out to lo-fi here all day. Okay. Last chance if someone wants to share. If not, I'll go ahead and share my interpretation. So here's how I reworked this one. I'll stretch every morning before starting work, and we'll complete 1 round of exercise per day before dinner. And so again, this is keeping with that time bound, the idea of having the goals be really time bound, and being really specific, right? Thinking about, well, when actually would be the most effective time on a regular basis for me to complete this practice of exercising? What kind of exercise am I actually doing, right? For how long am I able to exercise, right? And again, this comes back to the idea of being able to continually reassess your goals, because maybe this changes over time. Maybe you start out with a goal like this, and then as you build your strength, maybe you are increasing the amount of time that you're spending working out, or you're increasing the intensity of your workouts. And the same thing could be said of coding, of writing, of pretty much anything, I think, right? That if you're reassessing over time as you make incremental progress toward the desired outcome, hopefully you're able to take on slightly more ambitious goals, right? The idea is that you're not starting with the super ambitious goal. So here's a couple examples. Hope this was helpful in thinking through how to apply some of this stuff. And now I want to get to the potentially more exciting piece of this, which is actually goal setting for the hackathon itself. So I would love if everybody now, based on this SMART framework, based on some of what I've shared, based on what Derek shared, let's apply this to a goal for the hackathon itself, right? What is something that you actually hope to achieve over the coming days here? So an invitation to use this prompt of, in order to do something, in order to achieve something, I will do something. That was this one here. In order to publish my Mirror article, I will do this writing practice. So what is it that you actually want to achieve here? And what is the practice that will get you there? Also an invitation to write a why statement. Like, why do you actually feel called to contribute? Why do you feel called to be here and to help build the next generation of on-chain creative tooling? And then those two things ideally should line up, right? The goal that you're setting should line up with your reason for being here. And both of them should align with those SMART principles to some degree. So we'll take a few minutes for this, and then would love to invite folks to share their goals for the hackathon, and we can provide some feedback to each other on the goals that we're working on between now and the end of the hackathon. So I'm going to put on another timer. We'll give a couple extra minutes this time. And yeah, we'll come back in a couple minutes. 4 minutes this time, sorry. First, actually, before we do this, I would like to open for questions, just in case I can clarify anything. Feel free to raise your hand if you have a question. If not, I'll go ahead and start the timer. Awesome. Feel free to type this out, write it out with pen and paper if you prefer. However you prefer to actually get it in writing, it's up to you. One more minute on the clock. All right. If everybody could do your best to wrap up your goal. And no pressure, right? This is something that ideally you're going to continue to iterate on, and we're all going to provide feedback to each other now. So no pressure. It's not perfect, but that is time. So I was going to actually do breakout rooms, but I think we're a relatively small group, so we can actually just do this as an entire group. If anybody would like to kick things off by sharing the goal that you came up with, go ahead and raise your hand. The floor is yours. And I would encourage, I'm here to provide feedback as well, but I would encourage you guys to actually provide feedback to each other. So once we get someone up here to share your goal, if anybody else wants to provide feedback, feel free to raise your hands as well. All right, we've got losing my ego. The floor is yours.
Yeah.
GM.
So my goal that I wrote for this was in order to finish coding the front end for our app, I will bucket my time into 2-hour work periods instead of just like working continuously, because I know I'm more productive in like 2-hour buckets.
Mm.
And then for the second, like the why statement, I guess I feel called to contribute to next gen on-chain tools because of my desire to contribute to open source communities and build for autonomy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you give your goal like the SMART test? Would you mind actually dropping it in the chat so that we can all like for reference?
Cool. Yeah.
In order to finish the coding the front end. Yeah, I think that this is, well, actually, I'd like to open this up if anyone else would like to provide some feedback. You are more than welcome to do so. Cool. Well, from my perspective, this is a very good goal. I know that Nish has a bit of an advantage here because she's completed quite a few Mochi journeys and set quite a few Mochi goals in the past. But I think that this is a really good, really solid goal. It's pretty specific in terms of the desired outcome of finishing coding the front end of the app. That's something that's gonna need to get done. And the scope of it, in order to finish coding the front end of the app before the end of the hackathon, maybe you could specify like maybe in order to finish coding the front end with a day or two advance, so that like you can do testing or something like that. Maybe that's a consideration.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I think that this is a really clear, measurable goal, relevant, time bound, seems totally attainable. I think it's time bound. Sam, I saw your question. Is it time bound? I think that the specification of 2-hour work periods, that's a good nod to like a time bound goal, but maybe having a clear like deadline of what I had mentioned before, like maybe you want to finish coding the front end with a day or two of advance so that you have time to like prepare like a presentation, do some testing, etc. But other than that, I think this is a really good actionable goal. So nice work. Derek, I saw you had your hand up as well. Would you like to share what you wrote?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just here, this is my first hackathon, and there's a good, I might not get anything actually published, but I'm just here to learn. So my goal is, in order to learn as much as I can during this hackathon, I will participate in all the presentations and watch all the videos. Also, I'll work on building something new 4 hours tonight and 8 hours tomorrow, which is Saturday. And Sunday, I will rewrite a long-term goal, which will last 2 weeks, because I really want to take what I learn here and run with it. So that's my goal.
Nice. So it almost feels like your goal is like over the next few days to get as much as you can out of this initial experience so that you're more prepared come Sunday to set a more, because it sounds like you had different goals for today versus tomorrow versus for Sunday.
Yeah.
With the intention of getting to the point where you maybe can set a more like clear goal for moving forward. Is that right?
That's exactly. Yeah, I definitely want to take what I learn here and build something, but set a goal to build something to get it published is maybe a little unrealistic. Like I said, I'm here to learn, first hackathon. So yeah, what you said sums it up pretty well. Yeah.
Cool. Well, shout out to you for being here. Hope it's a positive first hackathon experience. One thing I would say, right, just on the Attainable front, 8 hours is quite a long time, and as is 4 hours. So maybe you would say like for at least 2 hours, I will show up and work on something, so that you're again setting yourself up to over deliver on your own expectations. But I think otherwise you seem to be thinking about this in a really healthy way. So
awesome. Yeah. Thank you. And I like the idea. Actually, I'm going to steal Losing My Ego's idea and split it up. So if it's not 8 hours, maybe it'll definitely be pieces, buckets, because 8 hours is a long time to be sitting working on something. But splitting it up is a great idea.
For sure. Yeah. Does anyone else have any feedback or any thoughts they want to share? Or a goal that you want to share? I guess floor is open. We're coming up on time, but we have a few more minutes. Cool. Well, I am going to, Sam Wise had said, curious to know what Derek's project is. Derek, are you open to share a little bit about what you're planning to work on?
Yeah, I came in really open-minded, looking to, I'm really focused on building a DAO, a tool for DAOs to use, like a blanket tool that any DAO can use for creating a structure and creating their organization. The more I get into it, this is really, I see that the hackathon is really focused on NFTs and music. So I actually might go in another direction, but I definitely, my long-term goal, I want to create DAO tools that DAOs can use to create structure in the organization.
Awesome. Definitely would love to tap in with you beyond the scope of this meeting, because that's a lot of what I'm doing and what we're doing at Mochi. Losing my ego, would you like to share a little bit about your project?
Yes, sorry, I couldn't find the mute.
No, that's okay.
We're focusing on music NFTs and collective curation. We found that there is a gap in the market currently with music platforms in the Web3 space where bringing your own contract isn't fully supported. And so that's something we're working on, the ability for a collective or a group of like-minded individuals to decide to join essentially like an allow list together and curate specific pieces that they have minted wherever they wanted, and to display them together. So that's kind of our idea.
Nice. That's really cool. I'm excited to see what comes of both of your projects and everyone else in here as well. We are coming up, we have just a couple minutes left, so I want to wrap this up. But you're all invited to track these goals using Mochi if you'd like to. We're, like I mentioned before, we have a system where this is all kind of the daily reporting, the reflection. This is all automated with our system. It integrates with Discord. So we'd love to invite anybody who's interested to join us in our Discord and track your goals with the Mochi journey. We're offering extra token rewards, and we're going to do a limited edition POAP as well for those who are interested. So Luke, actually, would you mind dropping that invite link here? I'm not able to open the chat right now, but I know I'd put it in there earlier. Thank you. And for those who are interested to learn more about Mochi and hang out and just chat with us, definitely tap in with us here. Bond with Mochi is our Twitter. Again, we're tracking personal development goals in our Discord all day, every day. Not all day, every day. Really, it's more like a couple minutes every day. But we'd love to see some of y'all in there, and would love to chat more with some of y'all outside of the hackathon. But again, thank you so much to everyone for being here. Wishing everyone the best of luck in the coming days. And this is just a call to, dream big, start small, stick together with your teams, and reflect on what you're doing, right? Take time to reflect on what you're doing and to be critical about the goals that power the outcomes you're looking to achieve here. So thank you guys so much. Again, my name is Alec, and we are at time. If we have a couple minutes for questions, I'm happy to take them, but I'm not sure that we do. So
thanks for an incredible presentation there, Alec. I know everyone benefited from that. We will be ending the session here. We do have one more session coming up right at the top of the hour. So head on over there and enjoy that. But Alec, thank you so much for this. I really, really think that a lot of people got some value out of this today.
thank you.
Cheers. Take care, everyone.
Happy Friday.